What's going on? Hello, I'm back. I was not here last week, but I'm here this week. This is Oh What a Marvel. This is the Merc with the Movie blog show where we talk about the Disney Plus Marvel Cinematic Universe TV shows. We're currently covering the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I am currently trying to put a tweet out that we're live, so I'm going to throw it to you two. Introduce yourselves.
Right, well, I'm Dean, and I would just like to clarify the beginning of this episode, I was mimicking throwing a shield and not Nazi symbols. I would just like to clarify that from the get-go.
I didn't even see it.
I was going like this. I'm throwing a shield, everybody. It's okay. I'm just beating bad guys in the face with a hunk of metal. Tyler, how are you doing?
Those two guys were on the same team. But hey, it's me, Tyler. I didn't have a funny name this week, so it's just me.
I'm still Baron
really
AFK.
Quickly 3 times.
Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. That was wild, wasn't it? All right, guys, we're going to be talking about this episode. We're going to be talking about it spoilerific. We're probably going to jump around a little bit because I did not take notes this week. I forgot to. But before we get started, this is episode 5 that we're covering, Truth, directed by Carrie Skogeland, just like every other episode has been, but written by Dallin Musan, who is a new writer. I'm assuming they wrote 5 and 6 because so far it's been one writer for every 2 episodes. But yeah, let's just start because you've got the name right there.
Also, this episode is brought to you by Heineken.
It is not brought to you by Heineken, but if Heineken wants it to be brought to you by Heineken, I'm sure Josh would be just fine with that.
No, there's a nice Heineken product placement in this episode. I had it ready to go. It was just too perfect.
There wasn't there? I noticed that. But let's talk about your name, because Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. Madam Hydra, right? Isn't that who that is?
Hydra.
She's one of the Madam Hydras.
Yeah.
One.
A former love interest of Mr. Nicholas Fury.
Yeah.
I hope she's in Secret Wars. Or not Secret Wars, sorry. Secret Invasion.
Yeah, here's the thing, because she's definitely, we're just going to cut straight to it. She's definitely the power broker, right?
I think it's
I don't know.
Sharon was being weird in this episode.
I don't think it's Sharon either.
Sharon's up to something else. We'll get into that. But what you're saying about the Secret Invasion thing, if she's the power broker and then she's revealed to be a Skrull, that's just levels. And that works really well because that's kind of what they did in the comics. And with it was Spider-Woman who was kind of ringleading everything. And spoiler alert for the comics that would come out in 2008.
What are the odds that we get a post-credit sequence next week where we see her turn into a Skrull to set up for Secret Invasion?
She also goes and talks to Monica and says, "Hey, your friend up there."
Yeah.
just 18 Skrulls come by every couple of days often.
I mean, if Secret Invasion is realistically the next big event that they're setting up, why not?
It's a TV event, so I don't know what that means, really. I think it's going to be a more political espionage than we're kind of
but they
used to
did
the idea of Secret Invasion.
They still made a point of saying that Secret Invasion is the biggest, like next to Civil War, is the biggest comic book storyline that they've tackled. So I feel like if you're gonna underdo it, then you don't say that. You try to underplay the importance of it, you know?
I kind of have it in my head because obviously when they first announced Secret, and we're going way off base here, but this is fine. Yeah. When they first announced Secret Invasion, I thought Secret Invasion, like the comic book crossover and stuff. But then they said it's going to be more like a political kind of espionage, like Nick Fury centered kind of thing. But then maybe if they did do that, but then kind of had like the superheroes kind of like in the peripheral kind of background, so they're not necessarily the main focus of the show, but obviously that's what the Skrulls are going to be looking to get to, right? They want to manipulate the power players in the earth, on the earth, to help them take over it. So it makes sense. And yes, to answer your question, Sean, I am a Skrull.
You are a Skrull? Okay. Thank you for confirming. It'd be wild if that's like kind of like, what if we get Secret Invasion and it's not like a big, I'm sorry, we're way off the rails, but Valentina, I guess she's got to be in it. If it's a Nick Fury show, she's got to be in it, right? So
because she's not supposedly, but in the comics, she's one of the Madam Hydras.
Yeah, she's
love interest to Nick Fury, so they have that connection. I don't know if she's a Skrull, just because I don't know why they would introduce her as this character and then be like, no, I'm a Skrull this whole time.
I think it makes sense, because if she's the power broker and then she's kind of like cataloging all these kind of like Earth human sort of superpower potential and like, oh, this is what they could do or can do if they kind of reach that potential, and this is what we need to be wary of. This is why we need to secretly invade them now before they develop more of these super soldiers. Because I've been keeping an eye on that from the inside, because I am Valentina.
Yeah.
And
of course,
I could see, I wouldn't have thought that in a million years, but I could see that connecting really well. But, have you heard of this show called Falcon and the Winter Soldier, guys?
That's true. I'm oh man. I wanted to start with Valentina being in it. We didn't really get anything else past her. She showed up the one time. I assume we'll see her next episode some more.
Maybe next episode, maybe some other series.
Yeah.
She gave Walker that card.
That had nothing on it, apparently.
Yeah. I feel like she's given a similar card to some other people as well. And maybe she's in... Also, while we're talking about Valentina, did you read this article? I read this earlier. Apparently, she was set to be in the Black Widow movie. And we talked a few episodes ago about how they potentially changed some of the stuff in the sequence of events that happened in this series because of the pushback of the Black Widow. And from what I understand, she appears, or was supposed to at least appear. I don't know if she still does in the new edit. We'll find out. But then maybe she, if that's the case, she might be working with Thunderbolt Ross, who we also know to be in that movie, which leads into my theory that she's given this card to other people in the past.
To form the Thunderbolts.
I think this is the very early stages.
Which is why we had to get Zemo to the raft, because the raft is overseen by Thunderbolt Ross.
Yes.
Definitely. We need to get Zemo back in the raft, which I didn't even think of that. That makes sense. So I was kind of a little bit bummed out. Like, oh man, Zemo's not going to be in the finale, like stirring the pot a little bit. Is he though?
There's one line in the trailer.
3 of them took him to the raft. He ain't getting out this time.
No, he's not. But
at least not anytime soon. It would feel redundant to have him just escape in the next episode again.
Yeah. Maybe it's an end of next episode scene or even a post-credit scene, but there's a line in one of the trailers where he's like, I will finish my work. Or I will not leave my work unfinished. So I've been waiting for that line, and I don't think he's said it yet in the show. But maybe maybe Ross comes up to him in prison in a post-credit scene and is like, I'm thinking of doing this thing, and he's like, I will not leave my work unfinished. Let's do it. Like,
mixing the post-credit scene ideas, because we've got 2 now going on here.
Yeah.
So what if Valentina, I'm going to call her Valentina from now on. Valentina comes to Zemo in the raft and says, oh, we're working on this thing, recruits him, and then turns into a Skrull as she's walking away. Because then the Skrulls are, like I say, they want to get their fingers in the political and the sort of superpower kind of landscape of our planet before they get on it in there. But again, we're getting off track.
Yeah. I loved the scene with Zemo where he's like, he kind of thinks that Bucky might shoot him. And then Bucky doesn't. And I love that's a scene from the trailer that we saw where he's dropping the bullets. And I always wondered, what is that going to be? Like, what the fuck is that? And I think the way that they did that was really good.
That was great. And
the one thing I wanted from that scene is that after he dropped the bullets and was like, I'm not going to shoot you, I wanted him to do the thing where he's like, my name is James Buchanan Bond. I'm no longer the Winter Soldier.
That would have been great.
But he does reference his name is Bucky later on, which I think is a turning point for his character, which we get a few of in this episode. We get a whole lot of character stuff going on in this episode.
All right, here's how it works. Here's how it all connects in. I just realized that he leaves at the end to start making amends instead of getting revenge. Instead of like avenging, he's gonna amend. Where did we see him meet the old Asian man, Mr. Nakajima? I think that was his name, right?
In New York.
We saw him meet him in New York. Where is Falcon going right now?
So,
because
New York.
I think he's gonna
be
He's
there.
gonna happen. Well, that's what I was kind of wondering is how the fuck is he gonna help Falcon in this final fight? Like, if he decides to go to California, right? Are we gonna see him be like, I gotta get on a plane to New York right now? You know, like
he just started sprinting.
Yeah.
Bucky's a little. Well, it was one of my gripes, you know, in this episode. Bucky's been a little bit nerfed these last 2 episodes. A little bit.
A little
just
bit.
a little bit. Because we see the AO in the last episode just drops his arm off, and that's fine because it was a little bit humiliating for the character, but it was fine because they designed it, they know how it works, and you know, they're the fucking Dora Milaje, they got that shit unlocked.
Yeah.
But then in this episode, he just gets thrown into a pillar and his arm just shorts out. It's like it's made out of vibranium. That's clearly just like a steel beam or something.
Yeah.
And it just electric, you know, they wouldn't have loose wiring like that. That shit would be airtight. So even if it did have a malfunction, it wouldn't rupture outside of the vibranium coating. I just felt like they did him a little bit dirty, you know.
A little bit.
But he's helping out with the boat later on, so it's fine. He's picking up docks and crates and stuff. So, you know, it evens out if you like, cheap labor.
When they were doing like, how are we gonna get this thing off the boat? I was like, Bucky's gonna pick it up. Like I was like, I know exactly what's about to happen. But I do want to talk about like we'll go to the very beginning and then we'll kind of split off into the Bucky and Sam sections. But at the very beginning, a very cool fucking action sequence.
Oh yeah, very good fight.
Like before we even get to that, we get some really great shots of just John Walker.
Oh yeah.
After the events of the last episode, we get some like close-up shots, not too close-up of
they
him.
Really like those close-up shots.
Yeah, but they really work in this episode. They do some great stuff.
Yeah,
and as well as Wyatt Russell is doing some great stuff as well.
So
but
good.
The stuff of him like running along like the dock or the like the past like the riverway or whatever it is, and some of that stuff looks I don't know if it was intentional, but it looks straight out of the Captain America Civil War comics where Cap is on the run.
Yeah.
After like a big public bust up thing that happens.
Yeah.
And he's got like 1 million secret underground bases around New York or whatever, and he kind of like dovetails into one of those. But we get some really good moody stuff before we get to this.
Yeah, we see like flashes of Hoskins.
Pretty good action.
It's really great. Like him going crazy in there and like kind of rationalizing with himself, where he's like, "You had to.
Yeah.
I still within. I want to frame this carefully. Within the realm of what John Walker has been told are the moral standards of the people who are employing him and giving him this job. Up until this point, he still hasn't really done anything that wrong. It's not until later that he does something that is very un-Captain America-like, that I think is kind of the first really un-Captain America-like thing he does, but we'll get to that later. But he's beating himself up, but he's still like, he's convincing himself that, you know, he did the right thing and that he's upholding these principles that have been beset upon him.
And Falcon points out that at this point, you haven't gone too far yet. Like, he's like, look, just put down the shield. We'll go to we'll go back. And later on, he says, you guys fucking made me. Like, I did what you told me to do. And I think that's a great scene when he's in front of this military tribunal.
So good.
Or whatever. And he's like...
There's also something he says when he's fighting Bucky and Falcon. It's like, why are you making me do this?
Yeah. It's just like... I think it really... I think that it does a good job with them being like, you haven't gone too far yet. You can still
come back from
this, what you've done.
And obviously the parallels to like the real world stuff, you know, like you can be like a cop or a soldier and get, you know, and do something, get videoed. It doesn't, like it or not, that's not necessarily the end of your career. Maybe the worst case scenario is all they do is they take away your position. You're not going to get any actual repercussions, which he kind of doesn't, you know. Well, he doesn't really. They let him off. They kind of like, we're just going to cut this even with you. You know, we're going to take everything away. No benefits. You give us back the shield, and we'll part ways amicably. But at this point, you can't just give the dog the bone and then take it away. Like, he's felt that power of the shield or the badge, or, you know, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
He's felt that now, and now he's built himself up to be in that position, and now he has to struggle to keep himself, in his mind, worthy of that position at any cost.
Because all episode he keeps saying I am Captain America.
Yeah.
He sees it as his status, as his symbol, instead of just being himself as Captain America.
I do think there's a moment in this episode where I think he finally realizes that maybe he's not Captain America. I don't know if we'll get into that a little bit later, but we're talking about John Walker. So
we'll talk about John Walker right now. Let's get him, because he doesn't have a whole lot.
The point where they have to break his arm to fucking take the shield off of him.
Oh, God.
Oh, man, that was so brutal. And it reminded me of when they're trying to get the glove off of Thanos.
Me too.
Exactly. That's exactly what I thought about.
But obviously, this is like the real world, like, hardcore version. Arms are snapping, you know. And the way that he's clinging onto this shield, like, it's his life. It's his very identity is already at this point, because he's been, it's Captain America, so already his identity is entwined with that shield now, and they're just one and the same, and there's no way he wants to give it up,
to the point where he's making his own shield at the end of the episode.
Oh my God, that scene.
I want a jank ass shield next episode. I think Tyler, a friend of ours, said a message where he wants the shield to be made out of like hubcaps. Like I really want his shield to look kind of weird.
Some diamonds in it. No, but
I think at the end when they show him making the shield, I don't know if it's how it's going to be in the end, but the color was inverted, at least for the red and white stripes. Because usually for Cap, it's the blue circle with the white star and then the red band. Yeah. But for this, it showed the white band next to the blue. So it might be a little different.
I was really hoping we were going to get a little taste of maybe he was working on a costume. I don't know if that would have been too much, I think. But what I loved about this shield was that it kind of hinted towards, assuming that he makes his own costume, or maybe Valentina makes it for him. We don't know. I don't know. I'm assuming that's kind of where we're going. But based on the look of the shield and the way that he's welded his badges, his medals of honor onto the shield, and that really sets me up for like getting really hopeful for like a really juicy, like obviously like homemade, like clunky, like steampunk, like brutal utilitarian kind of Captain America. You know, almost like an Iron Man Mark 1 version of like a Captain America.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if it's going to bounce back. I mean, what has he made that thing out of? I mean, that's going to be really embarrassing. If he gets into the battlefield the first time, he throws it and it just hits dead air and just hits the floor.
He's always going to go pick it up.
Yeah. Hang on, guys. Let me just get over there.
He's made out of fucking copper or something.
But yeah, and also there's a scene. I mean, I was like almost in tears watching him talk to Lamar's parents.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes,
and you could see like how hurt he is as well. And
he's still, you know, he's still being pretty. You know, he's holding his convictions. He's not doing anything up until a little bit later in the scene that isn't particularly pleasant, but I don't know if it outweighs beating a guy to death with a shield, but we can discuss that in a moment.
Yeah, and instead of like, you know, telling the truth, like he didn't kill the person who killed Lamar. Exactly.
That's the moment.
You know what? I think that's pretty Captain America. I think well, remember what Cap did with Tony? It's kind of lying to be like, don't worry, I did get the person. I don't know. I don't know if it's I don't know. I think that there's a comparison you could draw to him being like lying to maybe make them feel better that the person that killed their son did get justice. And I think there's a comparison you could make to the fact that Cap was like, Tony does not need to know that his parents were murdered by Bucky Barnes. That is not something that
draw quite a lot of parallels. I don't know if it's all intentional or not, but between John Walker and like various kind of like moments through like the MCU history in this one episode.
Yeah.
Because we kind of see him having that, you know, when we've seen him have that moment of like, my guy's left behind the battlefield, you know, and I've got to go and avenge my guy. And we see that with Isaiah Bradley later when he's like, I had 2 guys back behind the battlefield, which kind of mimics the Captain America origin story.
I was just thinking about that,
So we get 2 like elements of that. And then plus with the end sequence of him like Iron Man in the fuck out of that shield, and there's a few little nuggets like that, I think, just sprinkled out in there that kind of just see like, he could have been one turn different here or there. Any of the Avengers could have been him. He could have been one of the Avengers. There's really, it's all just circumstantial to a degree. Yeah. But then when you decide to lie about who murdered Lamar, then you lose all sympathy because you looked at them and you said, "Yep, I got them." And it's not until a beat later where they say, "Well, as long as he would be happy as long as you gave the justice that they deserved or whatever the line is." And then you can see the cogs start turning in his head. He's like, "Fuck, what I said there, that wasn't Captain America." And then that ties into then later, then he needs, because he's now kind of started questioning his own conviction, now he needs to make that fucking shield I'm
so excited.
Like build himself up and convince himself that he is Captain America, one kind of like last grasping at straws kind of situation for his identity there. I might not have the morals, but if I can make my own shield, that's good enough.
And I really liked in that scene as well, something that they did that I think was really well done. The daughter, I would assume Lamar's sister. There's a young woman sitting there, and you can clearly see in the way that she's acting that she blames John Walker for what happened. Yeah. But in another show that she'd go, "You did," like they'd have a big scene about it. But I feel like they convey that really well just with looks and just with physical acting.
They do that so much, not only in this episode, but like the previous one. And, throughout, not the early couple, but, throughout the later parts of this season, they're getting so much character stuff done with just looks and like some clunky exposition. We'll get to you in a minute, Carly, but go on.
But yeah, that's true. That's really all I have left about our good friend U.S. agent. I think maybe we'll see him in I think maybe we'll see him in like Secret Invasion or something. I think that's how they're going to get around getting like really big name people for that is they'll get like Jimmy Woo is in it. We got the guy from WandaVision. We got the guy from Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think it'll be like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's like some big like scroll battle at the end and the government's got to rely on their superheroes, then the Thunderbolts coming in at that point or some early iteration of the Thunderbolts seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like that announcement for something with the word Thunderbolts in it, he's got to be pretty. I mean, I don't know. I would say it'd be pretty close. They've already announced the slate. I don't know. It's got to be around the corner. It's got to be. And this Black Widow stuff with Taskmaster and Thunderbolt and the removing of the schedules and all that stuff, just only. And maybe Alfred Molina will drop some news on this tomorrow.
I was surprised they got me for Spider-Man and Thunderbolts. Everybody's like, what? What? You guys got anything else on our good friend U.S. Agent before we move on to someone else?
Really fucked up. He ripped off Falcon's wings.
That was such a good moment.
It was great, but it was fucked up.
Oh man, I kind of want to go back to that opening action sequence all over again. And we're 24 minutes in, but there's so much character stuff in there. There's a moment where John Walker kind of, or Bucky kind of goes to do like the same kind of moves that he did on Cap in The Winter Soldier, like the punching of the shield where he could just knock him straight back. And John Walker is having none of it.
Yeah.
He's got none of that hesitation, none of that, or less of that conscience, it seems. And it just kind of goes to show just like how much more dangerous, because obviously you're a good guy, you got all that strength and speed and stuff. You're not going to use it as much as you could. And even subconsciously, he was probably holding back. And this John Walker isn't just like some kind of watered down, nerfy version of the super soldier that I thought we was going to get. He's, they portray him to be, if anything, stronger than Steve in some of this stuff that we get in this scene.
Yeah, less restrained at least.
Yeah. And if anything, that's tied into what he said in the last episode, which just brings out who you are. And obviously, Steve was a peaceful guy, and this guy's a guy who's like 3 Medal of Honors, dragging God knows what through deserts for how long, and going through all kinds of gnarly shit. and yeah, they get so much character stuff done. The ripping of the wings, and you can almost see that Falcon has got his kind of identity tied into that as much as John Walker has with the shield. So he really does not. He doesn't look happy about it. He looks defeated, like humiliated. It looks brutal.
And
even though he can't feel the pain, I was like wincing. He can't feel that. They're metal. They're not attached.
And now Torres has those wings.
Torres has a set of wings.
What are the odds that maybe we see Torres suit up at some point?
Well, he's gonna experiment on some broken wings, and they're gonna get radiated, and then turn him into a human Falcon.
He'll show up in the post credits. He'll suit up in the post credits, and then he'll fly to the raft where he asks Zemo to join a team, and then he turns into a Skrull. It all makes sense.
It's all happening, and then he turns to the camera and goes, "I'm Mephisto."
Yes. Well, if Mephisto's a Skrull, guys, are we going to be able to take it?
That's wild.
Moving on. Who's next, Sean? Who's next?
Last thing about the opening fight is that I like how Walker tries to justify his actions instead of listening to what Sam's saying about, they'll probably let him off the hook at least a little bit. He hasn't gone too far. Mm-hmm. Right when Sam goes, "We need the shield, man," he goes, "Oh, I see. Okay. You almost got me. I see how it is. You just want the shield."
Yeah. Some of the combat that Sam was pulling off as well, with the shield blocking and the grappling hook and stuff, they really put him up a notch. As you said again about how the action and the character was all tied in this opening scene. They really set up so much stuff for like Sam that later on in the episode you might have been thinking he couldn't do that, and presumably we're going to get him as a fully fledged version of Captain America in the next episode, and I think they just set that up well from on your left in Winter Soldier, and he's getting
we've gotten a lot more shots of Falcon with the wings indoor fighting, like more close quarters fighting.
Yes. They finally spread the budget for him.
He has the shield too.
Yeah. So after this, we talked about Bucky and Zemo already. So let's talk about where Falcon goes, which Falcon goes to talk to Isaiah.
To the sky.
And just because Young Avengers guy here, we got some more lines from Eli Bradley.
He's playing basketball. It wasn't that good.
It was a terrible shot. It was like complete whiff.
Yeah.
I don't know sports. I don't know basketball. Could be great. I was just making that line up. I'm glad you backed me up, Tyler. But I was watching it.
I was looking at it because
I was watching him like, I'll do a super slam dunk or something, like jump up 10 feet in the air and like launch that shot from like.
He's not 25 yet.
But I was watching his technique just in case he had a little something going on, but he didn't. Moving on to Isaiah, this is some great stuff.
Just terrible form.
That scene between Isaiah and Falcon was really, really good, I think.
It was a good scene.
It was really great. It was really great to watch. I do feel like a lot of it kind of just reiterated what the last scene with Isaiah kind of covered. They didn't. What I was really hoping for was, like, at the end of that scene was something where Sam kind of had some kind of rebuttal to everything that Isaiah was saying. Not obviously to discount about the family side and stuff, but just to kind of say, well, wouldn't you think like
I don't think he was ready.
But then when we get to later on and all the stuff that Sam is saying, that he's kind of saying that he is ready, kind of seems like all that stuff has been gestating for a while. And I just wanted that one moment of Sam saying like, look, this could be a different icon for a different kind of person, for a different, and I just wanted him to have a little bit of, and we might get that. I feel like we'll probably get another scene.
I don't know if he had the answer just then. Like,
I don't think he had the answer. And I also think part of it is him being like, I think it's also kind of a respect thing where he's like, he doesn't need me to do this to him. I don't need to fight this man.
But I just felt like one line of him kind of just Sam just putting his point across of like, maybe this is what, even if he hadn't quite got there himself yet, but maybe just rationalizing like, maybe like there could be a version of a Captain America that could like highlight exactly this stuff and stop it from happening again. Mm-hmm. And I think we'll get that, or at least I think we'll probably get another scene with Isaiah after we see Sam as the new Captain America. I'm assuming that's going to be a thing.
I assume that's next episode.
Then we're going to get a shot at the very end of the episode of Isaiah sitting on his couch watching the news on TV and seeing that Captain America, and maybe we get a little bit of a kind of. I just feel like that. I love the stuff with Isaiah. I just felt like it was unclosured.
Yeah, there's still. It feels like there's still.
But then
more.
I get that kind of pertains to the kind of. The story that he's talking about and the kind of feelings that he has, where it's like he didn't get that closure, and this is kind of the experience. I don't know if that's what they were doing. If it is, they did it really fucking well.
Yeah.
If not, give me one more scene with Isaiah, because I just want a little bit more.
He basically talks about how he did the same thing Steve did when he went to go save his friends, except that when he got back, they didn't treat him the same. He was put in jail. On.
Which, and like, the scene was a little weird for me because obviously they hit a lot of things that we've talked about on this podcast, but we've talked about on here because we know about the comics. A lot of the stuff because he's talking about, they said they were giving us tetanus shots and they were not giving us tetanus shots. Like, that's stuff that we knew when we were talking about this is what the comic was about. But obviously for people that were not, that don't know the comics when they're watching the show, that's going to be a really big moment, I think. And I'm surprised they went that far with it. I really thought that we were going to see an Isaiah Bradley that kind of doesn't talk about what happened to him because it's really dark. They
went hard on this stuff, and not too hard, or rightly hard. Yeah, rightly hard. Bad name. Somebody take that. But yeah, no, they went further in on that stuff than I was expecting, and a lot of the stuff again between the debate between the Bucky and Sam debate at the beginning of Bucky was kind of butthurt that Sam turned the shield away. We didn't necessarily get into that stuff. And we delve into all of that stuff in this episode, and we really fill out a lot of the kind of character kind of questions that we all kind of had, like the motivations and stuff. And I think presumably they're setting this up for a pretty action-packed finale at the very least, because they really they basically wrap up everyone's character arcs in this episode. All the primaries at least. Not Zemo, because he just gets carted off.
We'll see. We'll see something.
When Zemo's delivery of the word "ladies" is amazing. Just when they not only the three of those so well choreographed that they just slide into frame out of nowhere, and then he just. Ladies, he's fine with it. He's fine. Yeah. Moving on.
He's like, all right. He's like, at least I'm not dead. Is what he's doing. He's like, I thought you were gonna shoot me. So as long as that's not happening,
and they had a great understanding. I feel like they finally wrapped up that to go back to Bucky and Zemo of how they kind of they just again with they didn't use too much dialogue. There was just this unspoken understanding of I see my place. Or I see your place in this, and you see my place in this, and even though you're the super soldier that I hate, and I'm the Hydra bad guy that you hate, we kind of acknowledge each other's role in this kind of society moving forward, and we wrap that up with such little dialogue, and I think we can move on now from Bucky having a revenge against Zemo. Now I think we're cool. Cross that name off.
Oh, he says, "I love Zemo's." Like, I took the liberty of crossing my own name off your list. I fucking
that was just as out of line of the Soul Man comment. You can't go crossing names off of other people's fucking lists.
Yeah, dude, you don't choose when you're crossed off, dude.
Yeah, dude. He's like, what if he was like,
I wasn't cross you off.
He was like, I wasn't gonna shoot you, but now I am. And then they meet up together. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier sides of the storyline come together, and we see what I've been waiting for this entire season. Them they're fixing the boat. They're talking.
Yeah. Is that what you've been waiting for?
Yes, I love these two. I wanted them to be happy.
Waiting for the boat.
I must admit the bickeriness did get irritating, in the last few episodes. So I'm glad that they're cool now.
Yeah.
I feel like the structuring or the editing in maybe the middle part of this episode was kind of a bit. It was a bit weird. It was like social commentary, and then we're going to do like a boat buddy scene, and then we're going to do another really deep, meaningful, great scene, and then we're going to do another boat fixing scene, and then we're going to do a really plot heavy. Oh, and by the way, Carly might murder some people any minute now. They even have that conversation 10 minutes into the boat montage, then go back to the boat montage, then have a.
I loved it. I don't care.
They're just kind of waiting for orders, I guess.
I loved all the fair enough. But they're like, oh, Carly could be blowing up another building full of innocent people right now. Pass me the wrench. Like,
they're just fixing the boat, and they're like, think she's gonna kill some more people? I don't know, maybe.
Although,
anyways,
talking about the wrench, where Sam asked Bucky to twist the pipe or whatever to fix the thing, and he comes in and he just uses his regular hand with the regular. And I'm watching it, I'm like, really? I'm pretty sure Sam is expecting you to just use your metal hand, and then they address it afterwards. And again, it's just all this character stuff through like, you know, these little details, and it's just like, no, it's not his instinct to just use the metal arm anymore. You know, he's like 90% James now. He doesn't, or Bucky now. He doesn't even call himself James anymore. It's Bucky. He's back on like, you know, like friendly terms with himself, as it were.
Yeah.
And
it's like I'm right-handed.
I'm right-handed. Also, I'm a super soldier. I don't really
and
need
the Winter Soldier, not the. It's me and the Metal Arm, or me and the Winter Soldier, not the Winter Soldier and me. You know, and they really, that was some great stuff. But other than that, you know, too much boat stuff.
I don't know, man. When Bucky went, hey Sarah, I was like, okay. I was like, all right. I thought that was funny. I liked that.
Sarah, I was like, oh, okay, Bucky. I see what's going on now.
Sarah. And Sam was like, I'll fucking kill you. I will fly up into the stratosphere with you and drop you.
Hey, don't flirt with my sister, dude.
The sister has this great line about, you know, I don't come up there to tell you how to do barrel rolls. Don't come down here and tell me how to do fucking boats or whatever. You know, that was such a good line.
And then after they go play catch with the shield.
Yes, and that was so cool. And then we get the scene of like they're walking together, not friends, acquaintances, co-workers. Like I really liked them, kind of like they're friends. They're too macho to say it, but they're friends, and that is what I've been waiting for this entire show, is for them.
And it's a good conversation that we're about, like, you know, Bucky's not making amends. He's avenging, and he needs to pick someone. Obviously, Mr. Yamanaka or whatever his name was, I forget his real name. But you know, and give that man some closure about his dead son. And then of course Bucky's like, hey, we didn't think about what it meant to give a black man the shields when me and Steve had this plan.
Yes,
which is good. Do we know that it was a plan to always give Sam the shield?
Yeah, I love that Bucky acknowledges that, where he's just like, because we was all complaining about that in the beginning of, like, you know, we kind of know why Sam has his gripes, and we kind of know why Bucky has his gripes, but you know, we don't really get into it. And you know, it was nice for Bucky to kind of come out and acknowledge it. It's like, yeah, we're two white dudes having a meeting, you know, figuring this stuff out. You know, we didn't think of it that way. It was an honest mistake, and that was fine. And I love that.
And they also point out, like, Yori is the guy's name. I don't remember what his last name is, but I do also love that they point out, like, and I think this is something that people have kind of argued about Endgame. He says, Cap came to me and he told me what he was going to do. He said, when we were planning this whole thing, we didn't think about this. When Steve told me what he was going to do, we didn't think about it. So I know people after Endgame were like, did he tell Bucky that he was going to leave? Did he not tell Bucky that he was going to leave? He told Bucky he was going.
Yes, and they also reference the fact that Steve is gone. They don't. They keep it pretty vague. Yeah. They don't say whether he died or he just. We just assume that he returned back to the other timeline with the hot young Peggy and finished off. Or she was probably old by that point. You know what I mean? That Peggy. You know, the happy Peggy, not the war torn, depressed. Peggy,
yeah.
But
I do
they
love
keep
that
it
line.
vague.
Yeah.
They keep it vague. They could have, and I saw some people online were kind of jittering and moaning about that, like, oh well, we didn't go back to the time.
It doesn't
They're
fucking
allowed
matter.
to keep it vague, guys, because if
Yeah.
in 10 years' time they decide that they want to get Chris Evans to come in and do an anthology series, and you guys are saying that no, fuck that, they said he was gone, this is a plot hole, and then you deprive us of an awesome fucking Captain America anthology series 10 years later because of your bullshit, then I'd be mad. Let it be vague.
When there's a faint glimmer on the moon, and Cap flies down from it, they're gonna be real upset.
Yeah, big star on the moon with an inverted blue and white stripe.
I want Steve Rogers, director of S.H.I.E.L.D., God damn it. Old man Steve, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Let's do it.
I always hoped we would, at some point get that or the Iron Man, but either one I felt could have been cool directions to go, but they don't matter. Let's talk about Secret Invasion.
Well, so I'm trying to think. So I really like the training montage.
I watched it twice. Did they? Because it was great, but was there a little bit too much of like the throwing of the shield imagery? A little bit too much. And
a little bit.
Talking about shield imagery as well, go back right to the beginning. But they really hit you over the head with there's blood on the shield, guys. There's blood on the shield. We have stained the tainted of our American democracy. This is a symbol, and it is being stained by the blood of the innocent. And they milked that imagery a little bit early on.
It seemed a little bit like, look at how grown up we are. Look at the blood we have on the siege. MCU, we're for adults.
This is for the big boys.
It was fine. It wasn't too much, but it was noticeable that they were like trying to make sure that there was like, this wasn't just a light-hearted Marvel romp. Some of the other episodes have been more that way, but they're really, and I think they're probably just really like giving us that vibe before we get into what I presume is going to be a Winter Soldier-esque third act with helicarriers falling out of the sky.
I think it's
Falcon's going to be flying around throwing shields. We're probably going to have Valentina come in with all these extra super dudes and gals, and I feel like it's. And like I say, I'm just glad we got all our ducks in a row for this one, and we can. If they go super serious and political for the last episode, I'm down. If they want to go just Captain America action heavy, I'm okay with either. It's not like WandaVision where it's like I need this. So I'm glad about
that. The two scenes that really hit me with the Falcon stuff, funnily enough, first one was Bucky waking up on the couch and seeing the cousins playing with, or the nephews playing with the shield. And then the one that really got me is the shot of the one boy tracing the star on the Captain America shield. I don't know why, but that fucking hit, that felt big.
See, this is what I was referring to earlier, where Bucky wakes up on the couch and he sees the kids playing with the shield, which is a great moment. It's a really great moment. But this is kind of what I was saying earlier. I felt like that should have been Sam's moment to have. That should have been the moment where we see Sam saying like, oh, this can be a different kind of symbol for everyone. And we saw Sam kind of change his attitude in the episode to going from like, oh, I'm not sure what Steve wanted. I'm not sure what Steve wanted to. Steve did what he wanted and what he thought was right, and that's what I'm going to do. And we see him do that change, but we don't really see any reason for him to kind of. And I feel like that scene, if you gave that to Sam, seeing the two boys playing with the shield, would have just. It's a great scene. I do
think we still
like
kind of get that though.
Do we?
I think when he sees his nephew tracing the star, that's the bit. But also, I
also feel like it's a callback to Bucky and Wakanda, with the kids were playing outside of his little hut.
Oh, probably.
Yes.
I think it's also just like he fucking woke up and he was smiling, and he's not having a nightmare. He doesn't startle awake and try and like kill one of the kids. Can you imagine?
Here's the thing: Here's another point. If I was going to be really nitpicky, would that not have been pretty triggering to Bucky? Because that fight that those two boys were playing with the Shield looked an awful lot like Captain America and Iron Man at the end of Civil War. And I was just like, is this just going to set him off? He's like, no, don't use the Shield. It just makes people fight each other. It just creates evil and hate wherever it goes. You see the blood all over the Shield, guys. You see it?
Yeah, I really hope they like get a wet wipe or something and wipe it down a little bit.
You imagine he pulls it out of the fucking casing for the first time and Sarah's like, oh my god!
We see him wiping down that shield though, the blood off the shield with his hand, like it's all about Marvel going dark on us, you know.
But yeah, I liked those two scenes. I liked seeing Bucky wake up happy. But yeah, I mean, like we saw Bartrock is coming back. He's going to be involved in the finale.
Sharon called him up. Apparently, it feels like she set up the mission he was on in the first episode. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Maybe.
She says this time, right?
Yeah, and they talked about the last mission she sent him on, so I'm pretty sure she was behind the first mission as well.
We're talking about missions that people are on. Sharon Carter is on a mission, and it's not the one we thought she was necessarily.
Yeah, I don't know. Is she trying to get Sam killed?
Yeah,
this is what I'm saying.
That seems like something.
This scene feels like it sets up that she's definitely not the power broker, but she's still definitely up to no good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
In my mind. So is she working for Valentina? Or is she on an opposing side?
They have to really sell me on her going. Like, that's the one thing in this episode that did not entirely work for me. Was I don't think I'm sold on Sharon Carter going bad.
No, I kind of felt like that after we did our last episode. I don't watch any other reviews or anything before we do ours, and then I'll maybe check out a couple after we've done ours. And a few people kind of saying that, like, it does kind of seem weird that, like, you know, if that's what they're doing with her, that she kind of like, she experienced the same repercussions as all the other Avengers, and then she just decided to go off and be a piece of shit from there on out. Like, it feels a little bit too sharp of a turn that she just decided, like, oh, well, fuck you. I'm jilted. I got left out on my own. I'm going to be the bitter, crazy woman ex-person and just come in and then fuck everyone else's shit up because I didn't get the closure that I wanted. It just feels like a really sharp turn. Why would she want to kill Falcon?
Like,
I don't. What I'm saying.
I don't get that.
It's so weird. Because I know they had like a trailer for the last two episodes. I didn't watch it, of course.
Neither did I. Yeah.
But the only thing I saw was the only thing I do know is that we'll see Sharon next episode for sure.
I figured because they can't leave it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had a pretty explosive intro, and then she kind of got sidelined a lot of the rest of the stuff that she's been in since when she was introduced into this show. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we need a good chunk of time with her, hopefully, in the next episode, because, you know, we've wrapped up everyone else's arcs basically, apart from Sharon and Valentina, I guess.
Like, show us what she's really up to. Like, what's going on with her?
Yeah, is she working for Valentina? If she wants to get, I don't know. We'll find out, guys. This episode was not brought to you by
I also feel like that Carly's friend, I forget his name.
He doesn't seem down with what's going on.
Yeah, he's like, we're working with criminals now. Yeah. I feel like he's gonna be the one to have a turn or something.
Yeah.
Probably won't make it out, but he'll probably have a last stand or something.
Yeah. Carly the weakest point of this episode.
This episode, I want more from her.
Does she go between like either being like really getting some really great like poignant, deep like character, you know, some really good like social commentary, kind of a lot of stuff to work with, and then some of the other times it just feels like she's a bit cartoony.
Like this episode, we get like a lot of good stuff from Walker, a lot of good stuff from Zemo, a lot of good stuff from Falcon and Bucky, and then we get Carly, and it's just like, well, we don't get a lot of good stuff from Sharon, but you get Carly's just like, we're fucking shit up now, we're bad.
Carly's like, violence is the only language these people understand. But also, how many people of my people have to die in the course of this world? Yeah. And it's just like, you really, even the most deranged terrorist supervillain would see that fucking irony, surely.
Yeah.
Surely. So
She didn't even
some
try
of the
to
stuff
save
is
Nico.
really good. Some of the stuff she's really good, but then every now and then they pepper in a scene where I don't think
it doesn't make sense.
she's as good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I have left from this episode, and that really fucking it made me mad. Fucking what? I fucking hate that shit where they're like a character sees something and they're shocked and they're so in awe of it, but fucking episode ends before you get to see. Show us the goddamn suit, you bastards!
I definitely want to see the suit, but I think I think it's gonna make a really great intro.
He's gonna swoop in. He's gonna swoop past the camera. There's gonna be a big blast of music. It's gonna be in a clutch moment at 33 minutes and 52 seconds. I'm calling it here. Mark your calendars. He's gonna swoop in, and I wanted it so bad. I at least wanted to see what was in the suit, in the case, even if we didn't see him with it. But yeah, I get why they did it, but man, do I want that shit. I just
hate those cliffhangers so much.
I hate being the Wakandans, just being like, just one more favor, guys. Like, we know you make really good shit. Can you just make one more thing? Just one more shield. Just one more suit.
They're like, hey,
just one more vision. Come on.
They're like, hey, you're banned from Wakanda for a minute, just for a little bit. But
I love that line. You can cover your white wolf shit, but you might need to make yourself scarce for a little while.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways, next episode, Falcon will fly in. He'll be played by Don Cheadle. He'll be like, yeah, it's me. I'm here.
We haven't seen don't joke, man. We haven't seen Don Cheadle since episode 1. If I see Falcon and
if a War Machine shows up too, that'd be real cool.
God, I'd lose my shit.
That's the future of the MCU right there. We've talked about Secret Invasion. We've got Armor Wars coming.
Yeah.
So we're going to get more.
We're entering a new age. Everyone's getting new costumes.
Yes, and Wakanda are making all of them out of vibranium for free as a favor.
Wakanda's doing all the work.
We don't even know what their currency is, guys. It doesn't matter. They deal in favors. And
it does feel a little weird whenever we see the Wakandans, because my brain always goes to Chadwick Boseman, and part of me is like, what is their deal right now? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, they're still working that out.
I mean,
of course, we're not going to get answers. Of course, I'm not like, why aren't you answering my questions about that? I don't expect that. But
I've sent 13 emails.
I'm assuming that's going to be that's going to be Black Panther 2. It's going to be a big, presumably, like they're rewriting that stuff in, and they probably don't want to address it until then. But it does have you wondering what the political landscape is like.
It just always makes me think
before we get to Black Panther 2, like now. Yeah.
You guys got anything else from this episode you want to hit on?
Let me just skim through real quick.
I'd just like to say Valentina Allegra Di Fontaine Valentina. I can't even do it twice, guys.
Well, actually, I do have one more question for you before I wrap things up, but it's for next episode, because I want to get a prediction on number of post-credit scenes next episode and what they are.
Okay. Well, based on this episode that we've just had, I think one of them is definitely a scroll. And what was I can't remember what the other one we discussed is, because I mixed them all into
Thunderbolts Raft.
Zemo. I think Zemo and Skrull. It seems to be, because this show doesn't really. There's not really a lot of avenues for it to necessarily tie into a lot of the other stuff that he's like next down the pipeline. So that kind of stuff makes sense.
So big thing, is it a post-credit scene where somebody is revealed to be a Skrull and a post-credit scene where Zemo is brought into the Thunderbolts? Or is it a post-credit scene where Zemo is brought into the Thunderbolts by a Skrull?
Or a post-credit scene where Zemo's brought in to the Thunderbolts, but Zemo's the Skrull.
That's why he was dancing. That's why he was dancing. It's because he's a Skrull.
A Skrull brings Zemo into the Thunderbolts. Hang on, have we covered every variation of this yet? What about a Zemo brings a Skrull-the-bolts into the Thunderlulls? Anyway, that's it for this episode. Sean, back to you.
Tyler, what's the post-credit scene next episode? Or how many are there and what are they?
Yes.
I think there's at least 2. And I think I'm on the same boat there.
Okay.
Probably a Skrull, maybe. I'm not holding my hopes out for that one, but I do think we're going to get something with Zemo in the Raft.
There's no way they do 3. because as soon as they do 3 for this show, every other fucking episode of every other show is like, is there 1? Is there 2? Is there 3? I think that's just, and then the next show is like, is there 4
or 2?
I think there's 2. There's got to be 2. I think that's enough. You know,
I didn't know if they do 1 or 2. I think they'll do 2.
Could be 1, I think 2.
I think it'll be 2. I think 1's going to be Zemo. 1 might possibly be Zemo and U.S. Agent. I mean, fuck, we might have U.S. Agent roll up to be the one to talk to Zemo and be like, I've been sent to get you by somebody, you know.
Again, mimicking his journey, going through like what like Cap and Bucky and everyone who's been through before. Now he has to go to Zemo, and that
U.S. Agent gets put in the raft and then gets recruited into the Thunderbolts with Zemo.
They're both in the raft together. Yes.
Maybe. But I do definitely think 1 post-credit scene is going to be centering around Zemo and U.S. Agent and the Thunderbolts. And then I definitely think we're going to get a Skrull post-credit scene. I think that's what we're building to in Disney Plus area. Like, you know, phase 1, we were building to the Avengers. I think Disney Plus phase 1 is building towards Secret Invasion.
They're not going to do too much legwork of the TV shows building to the movies. The movies will probably build to the other movies more so, and the TV shows will build to other. And the other post-credit scene is me peeing right after this episode.
All right, guys.
Find me at Dean Lewis 2099 at twitter.co.uk or .com, depending on where you are. Not in my bathroom, hopefully.
Tyler.
You can find me on Twitter at Tyler Tellerims. That's TYLER2YLERIMS.
You guys can follow me on Twitter at Sean_AFK, at Movieblog Merc on Twitter. That is the channel that we broadcast on. Next week, we'll be back for the season finale of Oh, What a Marvel. Then we're going to go on a bit of a hiatus until Loki. We'll be back in June for Loki. We'll see you guys next week, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I need to go to my thing and actually hit the outro. So see you guys next time.